Oh, good morning, Corey. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Good. Thanks for giving up some time to
Oh, no, my pleasure. My pleasure.
help with this interview. Yeah, you're obviously a busy man.
Yeah, it can be.
Okay, well, I'm recording now, so if you
Okay,
just introduce yourself.
sure. So my name is Corey Wyness. I am the coordinator for the CHEW Project.
And the CHEW Project is what exactly? What's that stand for?
So the CHEW Project stands for Community Health Empowerment and Wellness. It was a project started 5 years ago to work with a population that's very invisible within the city of Edmonton and area. And these individuals are queer and trans youth from the ages of 14 to 29 that face barriers of like mental health, poverty, homelessness, addiction, just any barriers to having like a healthy, hopeful life. Most of these youth live on the street consistently and face many challenges.
Oh, I see. And what's your role in the organization then? Exactly.
So my role in the organization is to kind of coordinate everything. And so I'm the only full-time staff. And so my responsibilities include, of course, keeping the project going, but as well as doing the outreach, doing a lot of the crisis intervention, a lot of just being where the youth need help. That's usually where I go.
Okay, and I understand the youth have an office that they can attend where they can get help. Is that right?
Yeah. In October, we raised a little bit of money to open up a center for the youth because the youth really wanted a place to call their own. They don't feel safe going to shelters. They don't feel safe going to other places based on things like transphobia, homophobia, racism, those sorts of things. Yeah. And so they wanted a place to call their own. So I found this lovely little spot on Jasper Avenue that we kind of just put together and created a home for these kids to go to. It's not an overnight shelter, but they can come here and they can eat, they can sleep, they can play video games, they can just hang out, do some art. They can do a lot of things that you should be doing and have a chance to do. And it's amazing. These kids go from being very, very unhopeful and not unhappy and just feeling really down to having smiles on their face again.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So how many LGBT plus youth are you usually dealing with?
So within our database, there's about 120 youth. On an average day, we see anywhere from 15 to 20 youth that come in. Oh. A lot just come in just get like a clean pair of socks or a clean pair of shoes or a snack, and then they go back out again. But there's quite a core group now that comes in and hangs out.
Oh, okay. And they all come from different backgrounds from the area. What is it? Or sort of North Alberta?
Yeah. And so we see probably, close to 70% of our youth are Indigenous. So a lot come off the reserve, or a lot are in the city already. 2 to 5% is newcomer immigrant youth. And the rest, just make up the rest of those percentages, is just like youth from surrounding area.
Oh, I see. And what kind of funding do you have? I mean, what's the source of funding to keep this project going?
So
I know you rely on some donations.
Funding, of course, is always very precarious for this population because when we start looking at the population, we start talking about they're using substances, which scares people. We start talking about a lot are engaging in sex work, which really scares people. Poverty, those sorts of things. But I found Edmontonians to be extremely generous and want to make a difference for these youth. And so a lot of it donations come from everyday Edmontonians. We try and do some fundraising, of course. We tried a bit of GoFundMe. We've tried things like 100 Helping Hands, which is our campaign right now. And then we're still negotiating with the government to hopefully maybe get some funds from them, as a lot of our youth are involved in children's services or involved in mental health and addiction. And so it fits, I think, within the government. It's just convincing them that they need to give us a little bit of money. So sustainability is tough for us. we keep going as best we can with what we got. And again, there's people in the neighborhood that on a weekly basis will bring us stuff that we need, or drop off cookies, or just little things like that.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah.
So ultimately, do you come under the university, don't you? Is it Institute?
We are, yeah. Our home base.
Yeah.
Our home base is at the U of A. And so we're based within the Institute of Sexual Minority Studies and Services, ISMIS. That's kind of our umbrella.
Yeah. So it's kind of a branch of ISMIS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But we don't get any direct funding from the university, of course, but we get a lot of in-kind stuff from them. So.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So give us a specific example of how you've helped, to say, an individual through the CHEW Project.
Sure. So a lot of our, it's quite often, sometimes I have to go out onto the street and I'll find the youth, or they send me a text message saying, I really need help. And so we're pretty mobile that way, where we can go out and I can find the youth. Maybe they've been using for a few days. They, of course, are living in poverty, so they haven't changed, they haven't showered, all those sorts of things. I'm able to bring them back here to the center where they can get some of the basic needs. And it's amazing how even the basic needs, like clean water, a chance to shower, maybe a chance to get clean clothes, clean pair of socks, and have something to eat that's not just a bag of chips, that might be something a little more substantial. How that can make a difference for that individual. And so, I may find them and they may be crying, they may be at the end, they may be talking about ending their life, but the minute they come in here, they feel like they got something again. And that's what hope is. And that's our biggest thing, is creating that hope however we can.
Yeah.
And it's not like we need millions of dollars to do that. It can be as simple, but it's that hope. And once someone has hope, it's amazing how it can change their life, or how it can make things better. And so that's what we try and do. I do a lot of crisis intervention. My job definitely is not 9 to 5. It's all over the place usually. But it makes a big difference to know those youth can have someone that cares, right? Because traditionally in their past, they've never had anyone that's cared in a healthy way.
Oh, good. So what's your background? How did you come to get involved in this kind of
I've been doing this work for over 30 years in various capacities, and not just in Canada, in the States and Mexico as well.
Wow.
And so I have a strong passion for these youth, and the spirit that they have, and their stories and such. And so this for me is like my dream job. Like, really, this is what I should be doing. This is why the universe put me on this planet, I think, is to do this. And so I'm grateful.
So you did this kind of work before, where mental health issues?
Yes, yeah, lots around mental health, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good. So are you from Edmonton then?
I was born here, but I never actually lived here. I grew up in southern Alberta, and I was living in the Northwest Territories for a bit, and then West Coast for a bit. I've lived in Hawaii for quite a while before coming to Edmonton, and so I came back here maybe about 8 years ago.
Oh, okay. And what, other staff that assist you, or how does that work?
There is, and so we have, again, due to funding, we have just casual contracts that are about 10 hours. And so I have an Indigenous liaison worker. I have someone who deals specifically with harm reduction and mental health. And then a couple of other positions that are just outreach positions to help me at the drop-in. And then, of course, we have practicum students and volunteers and stuff that make a big difference for us as well.
Okay, so do you liaise with other organizations like the Pride Center?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So part of, I think, why we're so successful is we do what's called wraparound care. And so we try and provide these youth with a few agencies and people that can provide them some help. And so we've partnered with quite a few agencies within the city to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, we've interviewed somebody from Rarika.
Oh, Rarika, yeah. Rarika. Chris, probably, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
Yeah. And we work with Rarika now too. So, yeah, great organization.
Yeah, that's good. And So, well, what personally do you find the most rewarding thing about?
You know, the thing for me, and it's kind of weird. I'm not usually emotional, but when it comes to the kids, sometimes I cry, which is, they make fun of me all the time. But you know, just to see them, you know, I've known some of these kids for a long time. To see them smile, to see them, you know, Thursday nights we have what's called family dinner night. So we have a dinner just like you would at home, around the table, and we all cook and eat. To walk into that space, and it's like walking into someone's big house with all this family around, and to see these youth that, you know, were struggling so hard with life, to be laughing, to play video games, to watching, you know, music on TV, to dancing around, to just interacting with each other. My heart just soars when I see that, because it's amazing. It's like, you know, they still have to go back out on the street at night, but for that time while they're here, they got family and they got hope. And that's the biggest thing I can ever hope for too. Yeah.
It must be pretty sad to see them having to go back onto the street at night.
That's the tough part of the job, especially in the winter. It's really hard. You know, I've gotten creative finding them more places to go, but it gets harder and harder every year. And so, you know, the next big step would be getting a shelter in place that's safe for these youth to go to.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the future goal?
Yeah, that would be the future goal, to expand our services, of course, because we are growing. But would be to get them off the street in the winter. You know, some nights in the winter when it was -40, I'd go out there and there'd be 30 or 40 kids sleeping outside in -40.
Really? Does the city come and help with this kind of issue?
No.
Do you ever try and get help?
I'm gonna
get through the politicians.
Yes, so I have a pretty loud voice when it comes. CBC's been a big advocate for me in their platforms, and so, you know, I am gonna push it a bit more this year, because these are youth. These are our city's youth. You know, one of the other stats that we had when we did a survey a couple of years ago, we did some research with Andre Grace at the university, and one of the stats that came out of that, it just blew me away, was only about 40% had access to clean drinking water in the city.
Wow.
And I was like, how is that even possible? Like,
that's terrible.
But it was incredible. And so, you know, stuff like that is just mind-blowing. And, you know, again, this is a very invisible population. Most people don't even know they exist. And that was when I started doing a lot of awareness. People were coming to me and sending me emails. They're like, I can't believe this is going on. We didn't know these kids were on the street.
Yeah, right, in a big city.
Yeah. And so I'm trying to share their stories so that people can see that these are amazing youth, but they're lost. They're lost on our streets, in our backyards, right? And so, you know. Yeah.
Well, certainly the community should appreciate the work that you're doing. Well, as you probably know, I'm with Amnesty International, and we try and do as much as we can to support LGBT plus rights.
Yes, yeah, which is
throughout the world, and try and persuade governments to change policies, particularly that are persecuting and discriminating against LGBT people. So a lot of our members will certainly appreciate hearing what you are doing and how worthwhile this project is. So yeah, I'd like to just thank you on behalf of our Amnesty International.
I thank you for your time. That's amazing that you would take the time to hear the story. So
and hopefully we'll liaise further as time goes on to see how the project's developing.
Sure. Absolutely. And I'd love to, I can even do it virtually, maybe do a tour of the center. And I can probably send that to you so people can see what goes on here and what it looks like, and to kind of put a vision to what it is.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, some of our members would be interested in seeing that. You know, we're doing everything online, of course, but the more information we see, the better.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Awesome.
Sorry,
Thanks so much.